Stihl or Husky? That seems like a pretty common argument or conversation that people have if you've got anything to do with chainsaws, I'm sure. There's always, it's kind of like a Ford and Chevrolet thing. People's going to have their favorites, and you'll find as many for one as you will the other, probably. But anyway, what I've got, I'm going to give you some information on, just because I got more experience with it than I do anything else. And then you can kind of make your own opinion. Everybody's got a side, you just got to pick one. Anyway, I'm going to give you a little info on this Stihl 034. This is a pretty old saw. Just to kind of give you a little backstory on it, I found this saw on the property here when I moved here in what used to be a woodshed. It's now a dog pen / tool shed, but it was buried under a bunch of firewood and junk, and it was just covered up in dust. It didn't have a bar or anything on it. It had just a good coating of dirt and dust, which it's got a pretty good coating on it now actually, but it was a lot worse. And anyway, I took it and cleaned it up, cleaned the air filter out, and cranked on it. She fired right up, smoked a little bit, and then I adjusted the carb just a little, and it's been a good one ever since. I had another bar off another saw that I put on here, and just to kind of get it going. So it's not exactly set up necessarily the way I would recommend, but it's not bad, and I've kind of got a reason for it, which I can get more into that later. And we'll talk about the best reason why you should look for this size saw here in a little bit too. But anyway, one thing about these saws, and most people that know anything about chainsaws or any kind of Stihl fan, most of them are going to be fans of this size saw. They've just got a good name. I mean, all these older Stihl saws have got a good reputation. I think that I want to say this one's around a 50 to 55 cc saw. I'd have to look up the specs to be exact on that. If you know, feel free to comment. But anyway, that's a good mid-size saw, really. It's it's not real bad heavy, especially with that smaller bar on it. So it works pretty good for for firewood and stuff. It can be a little, if you got smaller firewood, it'll be a little heavy for that. Kind of can wear you out a little bit at the end of the day, but it's still light enough that it's handy for that. But it's big enough that if you've got something pretty good sized, it'll cut through it, not kill you. You can see a zip tie here. That's just a little, I keep that on there to help me when I'm cutting up firewood. Kind of keeps my lengths the same. Anyway, we my family always run this size. Of course, most of our history is not in the timber. It's more in the Christmas trees. But this was a popular size. This and 036 and 034 supers are kind of popular for that kind of line of work. But anyway, for firewood, it's a good saw to have on the farm. You got some bigger stuff that may need to be cut. It's definitely big enough to handle most of that. But as far as toughness, they're really hard to beat. This one, like I said, I don't know how long it had laid in that shed, but for it to fire up like it did was pretty sweet. Now since then, once I got it going, I did notice that it wasn't oiling, and so it needed a new oil pump put on it. which is not a big deal. But so I went ahead, and maybe that's why somebody had it put in there without the bar on it, or maybe they couldn't figure it out and junked it. I don't know. But put a new oil worm pump on it, and it was fine. It does a good job. But that's important, you know, when you get an old saw or something, make sure that thing's oiling. I always kind of face my bar into, you know, into a piece of wood, run the chain. You can see it spit oil out on the wood or any kind of hard surface. Make sure she's slinging a little oil. Of course, most of the time you know, if a saw sets, they always seep a little bit where they're setting or in a box, you know. You'll have a little bit underneath it, some more than others. And there's definitely some good videos on YouTube. These small engine guys, I'm trying to think of one that I watch a lot. He gives a lot of good information on, you know, how to get your oil just right, your oiler slinging enough oil. Obviously you've got adjustment screws for that. I believe this one, yeah, this one's right there. And you know, if you want more oil, you kind of adjust to it. But anyway, as you can see, this one here, I need to tighten the chain up on it a little bit. I literally hadn't done anything to this saw since last year. I took it out and did quite a bit of firewood work with it last year and brought it into the house. I've got a little station in there where I work on them, and after I use them, I just take them right back in there. And before I take them back out, or I get a rain day or something, I'll sharpen the chain and adjust it and have it ready so it'll go out the next time. But obviously I hadn't had that rain chance here lately, so it's just like I left it. So it's not been fired up probably in 7 or 8 months. I've got another little saw that I just keep on the 4-wheeler for smaller stuff in the summer. But it's getting here in the fall, so it's about time to pull this one back out. But yeah, if you're looking for a Stihl chainsaw, an old one, again, you know how I am about buying used stuff. I think you're kind of, I mean, some people are crazy. They don't want to buy somebody else's saws or stuff because they don't know what's been done to it. But something small like this, I mean, you can tell when you go look at them. I mean, when you can pull them, tell how much compression they've got. You can kind of look it over and see if there's, you know, cracks or anything like that. The bar's been heated up or chain's been hot, you know, stuff like that. Most of the time, people's prices will reflect that. There's not much they can hide on these if you do a little research on them, know what you're looking for. But if you're looking for a good used saw, and you can still find a lot of parts for these, I know by experience. In fact, I have another 034 Super, which I'll have to do another video on, that I have done a lot of repairs to. It's pretty much been retired by 2 different people, and I took it and put some money into it, maybe more than most people would, but just to find out if you could and if it'd be worth it or not. So anyway, I'll do another video on that. But as far as getting a used one, this is a good size to look for. Like I said, if you just want something to throw on a 4-wheeler and trim some limbs up with out of the trail or something like that, you know, it's probably a little big for that. But if you want something that's all around, if you've got, in case a big tree falls to the house, or you know, you can do a lot of firewood and get a lot of bigger stuff, then this is a perfect saw for that. Just a good all-around size saw, mid-size saw that's that you can find pretty cheap. You know, if you buy one like this new now, I mean, I'd have to do another price check, but I'm thinking roughly around $700 to $750. Again, I could be way off on that, but when you go CC's, when you kind of compare those deals, because you get to looking now, you've got a 311 and a 360. I think a 311 is more of the residential size that would compare to this, but I wouldn't compare it much to this because it's a lot lighter built saw, and I would probably hang more towards like a 362, and I'm pretty sure those saws are getting up in the 700s. So anyway, if you can pick up one of these used, I mean, you're money ahead. Still can get parts for them. They're great. Trying to think of anything else that would be helpful. You can kind of see this one's it's had a couple different things changed on it. I believe this cap, the gas cap's been changed. I mean, you're going to find parts on these things all the time. Again, I would recommend putting an 18-inch bar on it. I mean, it's definitely going to pull it. It's just this is what I had off of that other saw that I rebuilt. I had it kind of as a spare, and I stuck it on here, and I thought, well, that'd be easier. It fits a little better on my four-wheeler and everything. So most of the time, you'll find these with a bigger bar on it, and that's what I would recommend. But all in all, it's great. So we'll before I cut this off here, we'll go ahead and try to crank this thing. I've not, like I said, it's been 7 months since I've even cranked it, so I'll try the normal process that I do and see if it fires up, and then we'll kind of talk about a couple other things and then move on. So let's see what we can get here. Sorry, the video's not that great. I don't have a good phone holder. But anyway, you can see there it took a few pulls, but being that long, that's not too bad. Most of the time I'll choke it and I'll pull it until it just tries to fire, and then I kick it back up. Not all the way up, obviously, it cuts it off. But I kick it up that next notch and pull it again, and it runs open. But I mean, I didn't even have to run it. You've seen I kicked it back on, kicked it back down, revved it up, and it bumps up kind of in that on position, and then it's ready to idle, and it'll sit there and idle all day. So yeah, can't beat that. Something that just sits there for that long and you ain't got to do no more work than that to it. You're good to go. So hopefully here before too long, I'll put up some more videos on some other saws I've got. Kind of give y'all some more information to go off of if you're looking for some new ones or looking for some old ones. I've got some just a little bit of experience with them, but hopefully they'll help somebody out. So be sure and subscribe and get alerts when I post up some new videos. Thanks for watching.